Hello, this is Chef Ritter here with you on the website, YouTube, and partially on the Blackboard site. See, I'm going to give you a short outline of the beginning of the course on this video, but you should open up Class 1, the PDF Class 1, and go along with me, and then I'll give you a nice starting point for the class before we have our first meeting, which will be the week after August 22nd, which has a specific date, and that date is, let me check, is August 29th. So before our meeting on the 29th, we'll talk about some of the things in the class. So open up PDF number 1. It says Internet Communication Development, and I'm going to go through that with you for about 6 minutes, and then, or maybe 8, and then we'll be more prepared for next week. All right, so flip to page 2, and you'll see what are global classes, what expectations, explore the syllabus online, and Blackboard. Those are obvious questions or comments or all of those things. The global class is part of the requirement of being at La Roche is getting to some understanding of global context, globalization, all those things. So in case you missed that in some of your regular classes in your major, we want to make sure everybody gets additional perspective. Very important these days because every business, every organization will have a global component to it, something outside of your local region or country. The expectations of the class, of course, hard work, a lot of reading, a lot of writing online, discussion groups, and the in-class participation, of course, is going to be very important. To explore the syllabus online, when you have a chance, read the description of the class, all of the assignments, read them ahead of time. So in case you have any questions, you can ask me next week in class on the 29th. But the class will primarily take place, all the materials will be on Blackboard that we'll have. We will have the face-to-face meetings. I think it's 3, or it was supposed to be 4, but I think it's 3 meetings altogether. So we'll have that component as well. All right, go to page 3. What are ICTs? Internet and Communication Technologies. Okay, Internet and Communication Technologies are what ICTs. We'll just use that abbreviated acronym most of the class. Look at that list: significance of processors, memory, bandwidth, and storage. We'll do this in the first class, but be ready to talk about them. And in my communication and technology classes, we go into depth into these 4 aspects of communication technology because they're very important, and they develop separately through the industries and researchers and companies and everybody who wants to keep improving things. And there's no specific plan. There's nobody in charge of all this stuff. It just happens as a result of capitalism and government investment, obviously, too. But they give us all of the different capabilities, and they change at different times at varying rates, and provides us with an unpredictable area of for the world of study for the world to use them. So it's pretty interesting, but we're going to be talking about obviously how these ICTs can be used to improve the standard of living among people who need it. The next phrase, ICTs provide the ability to organize, disseminate, analyze, store, copy, and communicate information. And when you think about your everyday life and how often and frequently you do these things, you'll realize for sure that these are very significant and very important aspects of everyday life. And if you didn't have them, you'd miss them a lot. All right, we'll do that more in class, but let's go on. Development is the definition of meeting the needs of the people. Very simple way of looking at it. Health, education, business, agriculture, government, of course, a structure for everyday life to organize things as a necessity as well. But having all your needs met through the society, through organization, through technology, through people working for themselves or for government. Business, as you may have figured out, business is what provides us with a lot of everyday life of what we need and what we want. Is not provided through the government, but government provides other things that businesses just won't or can't provide as well. Health, education, agriculture, all those things. If you have access to all of these things in your everyday life, then most of your needs are probably being met. But if any of them are deficient, then you're missing out, and you're not going to do the number one thing, which is important, which is reach your full potential. Right? Reach your full potential. Imagine having a world this big with this many people who are not meeting their full potential, they're not able to meet their full potential because of where they grew up or they live or their birthplace. Americans, of course, you got the Tom Friedman says you won the global sweepstakes being born in the United States. But people all over the world need to have their needs met and reach their full potential in order for us as a globe to thrive. We can't afford to leave anybody out of this mess we're in, basically. Okay, next page. Underdeveloped, developed, developing, and least developed countries. Just to different phrases that we use. We really don't use the word underdeveloped anymore because there really isn't any country in the world that doesn't have at least a major city with certainly up to global standards of sanitation, transportation, electricity, telecommunications, all those things. Everywhere, those are distributed around the world pretty much. But there are, even in many countries, there are parts of the countries and major parts of the countries that are undeveloped. But we say now developing countries, a little optimistic spin on things that says everybody's probably developing, and they are. Made remarkable progress. The least developed countries, of course, is a sad group of countries. The least developed in the world, sanitation, life expectancy, health, all those things being the lowest in the world. And there's one in our hemisphere even. Haiti is among the least developed countries in the world. So just some of the phrases and nomenclature we use for the course. Next page, factors of development. So to really study and understand development, many years of work and study and reading, but we'll do this in one semester with a few shortcuts. Number one, you have to understand economy and economics, and we could read many economics textbooks. We could all take an economics course, but we're going to use a video series called Commanding Heights, which gives it to you in a condensed form. It's only about, I think, altogether 6 hours of video, but it's very good, very well worth watching. Of course, with dynamic and interesting and people talking in places all over the world, video from everywhere in the world, and crises of all kinds, and historical developments. So it really does give you enough of a background in economics to be able to be conversant, think about it, and say, ask the question, why haven't these economies developed in certain parts of the world? Of course, also we have to study society, culture, and history. In this case, the last 50 or 60 years before the 90s, the Cold War, primary organizing feature of American society and Soviet society and a good part of the world for about 45 years after World War II, starting in 1945, ending around 1990, 1991. So we'll study the Cold War because that's how one of the ways and one of the reasons that we figured out we've gotten into this position of having wide disparities in wealth and life expectancy and technology and all those things around the world. So we have to explain it a little bit, and the Cold War is one of the explanations. So we have to understand the history. We won't watch the whole series, but we'll watch about 3 or 4 of the videos, I think about 3 or 4 hours of that. Geography, understanding different places in the world, and is a big part of it, and we'll do that regularly. But also globalization, the process we're in right now of integrating more tightly our economies and the ways of life and the cultures around the world. We call that globalization. We read the textbook for that. The world is flat. So with all of these materials given to back you up, you'll be able to then begin to think about and talk about the subject, of course, more readily. All right, just to finish up a little bit, we'll watch the first section of Cold War videos after next week. You can go into the next page. We'll do a personal technology inventory in class on the 29th. Keep going. That's a little more detail about the personal technology inventory. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to just finish it up. Read the introduction to and chapter 1 to The World is Flat in time for the August 29th class. That way we'll be able to have a discussion in person and maybe add to the discussion afterwards in the online format. All right, those are the basics for the beginnings of the Global 4007 Internet Communication Development class. If you have any questions, feel free to write, send me an email message, or give me a call. I'll be glad to talk to you. In the meantime, start the book, and I'll see you on the 29th. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.